Hello, my friends. Welcome to Luna English Podcast. This is Luna. Today, I want to talk with you about one of the most powerful truths I know. You will become what you think about. It sounds simple, maybe even too simple, but this idea has shaped lives for centuries. Your thoughts are not just little words that pass through your mind. They are seeds. And just like seeds, they grow into something bigger. What you think about every day shapes how you see the world, how you feel, and the person you slowly become. Most people believe that their lives are shaped by what happens to them, by big events, luck, or other people. But the truth is, what happens inside your mind has far more power than anything outside. Your thoughts create your beliefs. Your beliefs guide your habits, and your habits shape your identity. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. You don't see the plant immediately, but it's growing quietly, below the surface. Your thoughts work the same way. The ideas you repeat, the words you say to yourself, the pictures you create in your mind, all of them slowly grow into your reality. This is why it's so important to become aware of your thoughts. You can't always control every single one, but you can choose which ones you give space to. In this episode, we'll explore how thoughts shape your life, how they turn into beliefs and actions, and how a small change inside can transform everything outside. So, take a deep breath, slow down, and let's begin this journey into your inner world. The place where all real change starts. Why do thoughts shape your life? Because they guide every choice you make, even when you don't notice. Most of what we do begins as a simple thought. Before you speak, you think. Before you act, you imagine. Before you decide, you picture what might happen. Thoughts are the quiet foundation under every action. If you believe you're capable, you'll try. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll stop before you even begin. And over time, these small choices build your life. Think about a river shaping the land. It doesn't happen in one day. The water flows quietly, day after day, slowly creating a deep path. Your thoughts do the same thing in your mind. The more you think in a certain way, the deeper that mental path becomes, and the easier it is for your mind to follow it again and again. This is why people who often think negative thoughts start to expect negative outcomes, not because the world is against them, but because their mind has practiced that path so many times. The good news is, this also works with positive, supportive thoughts. If you start thinking, "I'm learning," "I'm growing," or "I can handle this," your brain begins to build new paths. At first, they feel weak, but with practice, they become strong and natural. Remember, your thoughts are not just stories, they are instructions. They teach your brain how to react, what to focus on, and how to feel. By becoming more aware of them, you start to guide your life from the inside out. What happens when you plant a seed? You don't see the result right away, but if you water it and give it sunlight, it grows into something much bigger. Your thoughts are just like that. Each thought is a seed planted in the soil of your mind. Some seeds grow into flowers, confidence, peace, joy. Others grow into weeds, fear, doubt, anger. And the seeds that grow best are the ones you give attention to. If you keep watering thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," those weeds grow strong and spread. They shape the way you see yourself and the way you live. But if you gently water thoughts like, "I can learn," or "I'm worthy," they grow too, even if they start small. The most powerful part is this. You choose which seeds to care for. You can't always stop every seed from landing in your garden. Random thoughts will always come and go. But you can decide which ones stay, which ones you give time and energy to. Over weeks and months, that choice changes the entire landscape of your mind. So, think of your inner world as a garden. Every time you repeat a thought, you water it. Every time you focus on it, you give it sunlight. And slowly, that thought grows into belief, habit, and reality. The question is, what kind of garden do you want to grow? How do thoughts become beliefs? Through repetition and attention. A belief is simply a thought you've practiced many times until it feels true. If you think, "I'm bad at languages" once, it's just a passing thought. But if you repeat it every time you make a mistake, it becomes a belief. And that belief will stop you from trying. Our minds learn through patterns. When a thought repeats, the brain builds stronger connections around it, making it easier to return to that same idea again. That's why beliefs can feel so automatic. They're deeply practiced thoughts. The important thing to understand is that beliefs aren't always facts. They're just thoughts you've told yourself again and again. This means you can change them too. If you start replacing "I can't do this" with "I'm learning step by step," your brain will begin to build new connections. At first, they feel weak, but with time, they become strong, and the old belief starts to lose power. This is how real change happens, not by fighting every negative thought, but by gently choosing new ones and practicing them until they feel natural. Beliefs shape how you see yourself and what you think is possible. They guide your decisions, your habits, and your future. So if you want to change your life, start by changing the thoughts you practice. Your beliefs will follow. Why do beliefs turn into habits? Because what you believe about yourself and the world shapes what you do again and again. If you believe you're capable of learning, you'll practice more often. If you believe you're not smart enough, you'll avoid challenges. Over time, these repeated actions become habits. And once something becomes a habit, it shapes your days without much effort. Imagine someone who believes they're strong and resilient. They wake up and face problems with confidence because their belief tells them they can handle them. Another person believes they're unlucky, so they stop trying. Both people live very different lives, and it all begins with the thoughts they repeated until they became beliefs. Your beliefs are like instructions to your body and mind. They tell you how to act, how to react, and how to spend your energy. And those repeated actions create patterns. If your belief says, "I always give up," you will stop trying, not because it's true, but because you practiced that thought until it became your habit. The good news is, this works in the other direction too. A belief like, "I keep going even when it's hard," builds the habit of resilience. And resilience shapes your future. So when you work on your thoughts, you're not just changing your mind, you're changing your behavior, one small habit at a time. How do habits shape who you are? Because what you do repeatedly becomes part of how you see yourself. If you practice kindness every day, you begin to believe you are a kind person. If you practice giving up every time something feels difficult, you start to believe you are weak. Identity is not something you're born with. It's built slowly through the thoughts you choose, the beliefs you hold, and the actions you repeat. Think about it like walking the same path every day. At first, the grass is tall and the ground is uneven, but the more you walk, the clearer and easier the path becomes. Eventually, it's part of the landscape. Your identity works the same way. It's not built in a single moment. It's shaped by small choices, repeated again and again. This is why changing your thoughts is so powerful. When you change the seeds you plant, you change the beliefs that grow. When those beliefs change, your actions change. And when your actions change, your identity shifts too. Over time, you become someone new, not because of luck or outside events, but because of the quiet thoughts you chose to practice. So if you want to change who you are, start with what you think. How does a simple thought turn into your reality? Think of it like a path in the forest. At first, there's no clear way forward. You take a few steps and it's difficult. But if you walk that same route every day, the grass flattens, the path becomes visible, and soon it's the easiest way to travel. Your thoughts create paths in your mind in the same way. The more you think a certain way, the more natural it becomes. A thought like, "I'm always failing," creates a path toward fear and hesitation. A thought like, "I'm learning something new," creates a path toward growth and action. Your brain loves what feels familiar. It will choose the well-worn path again and again, even if it's not helpful. That's why awareness is so important. When you notice an unhelpful thought, you can choose not to walk that path. You can pause, breathe, and gently choose a new one, even if it feels harder at first. Over time, that new path will become easier, and the old one will start to fade. The landscape of your mind is always changing, shaped by the paths you choose to walk. And with patience, you can guide it toward peace, confidence, and strength. What if you saw your thoughts as visitors instead of facts? Imagine your mind as a house, and each thought as a guest that knocks on the door. Some guests are kind and supportive. Others are loud and negative. You can't always stop them from knocking, but you can decide which ones you invite in and which ones you let leave. Too often we believe every thought that appears. A thought says, "You're not good enough," and we accept it as truth. But it's just a visitor, one you don't have to feed or entertain. You can say, "I see you," and then let it go. On the other hand, when a thought says, "You're growing," you can invite it in, spend time with it, and let it shape your day. This way of thinking gives you gentle control over your inner world. It reminds you that thoughts will always come and go, but you are the host. You choose what stays. And the more often you invite kind, supportive thoughts, the more your inner space becomes peaceful and strong. Over time, these guests become part of the family, your beliefs, your habits, your identity. How do you begin changing your thoughts? With awareness. You can't change what you don't notice. Most of us think thousands of thoughts every day without paying attention. They run quietly in the background, shaping how we feel and act. The first step is simply to watch them. Notice the words you say to yourself when you make a mistake. Listen to the stories your mind tells you when something feels hard. Are they kind or harsh? Are they helping you grow or holding you back? You don't need to fight them, just notice them. Awareness creates space between you and your thoughts. It allows you to pause and choose. And in that space, real change becomes possible. You may discover that many of your thoughts are not true. They're just old habits your mind has practiced. Once you see them clearly, you can gently start planting new ones. Awareness is not about judgment. It's about curiosity. It's about looking inside and saying, "This is what's here right now." From there, you can decide what stays and what goes. Can you really choose your thoughts? You can't control every single one, but you can choose which ones you repeat, which ones you believe, and which ones you build your life around. Think of your mind as a radio playing many stations. You can't stop every signal, but you can decide which one you listen to. If a thought says, "I always fail," you can pause and respond with, "I'm learning and improving." At first, the new thought may feel weak or false, but with repetition, it grows stronger, and the old one begins to fade. Choosing your thoughts doesn't mean forcing yourself to be positive all the time. It means guiding your mind gently, like steering a boat. It means practicing supportive words, even when they feel small. Over time, those words become your natural inner voice. And that voice shapes your feelings, your actions, and your future. This is how you change your life. One small thought at a time. Why does repetition matter so much? Because the brain learns through practice. Just as your muscles grow stronger with repeated movement, your thoughts grow stronger with repeated use. Every time you choose a supportive thought, you strengthen that mental pathway. At first, it might feel unnatural, even uncomfortable, like writing with your non-dominant hand. But with time, it becomes easier and more automatic. This is why affirmations and daily reflection work, not because they magically change your life overnight, but because they help you practice new ways of thinking. And over weeks and months, that practice changes the structure of your mind. So be patient. Don't expect change to happen in a day. Keep repeating the thoughts you want to grow. Water them like seeds. Walk those paths again and again. Little by little, they'll become your new normal, and your outer life will begin to reflect your inner change. Why is kindness to yourself so important in this process? Because harsh self-talk keeps you stuck, while gentle, encouraging words help you grow. Many people believe that criticizing themselves will make them improve, but judgment closes the mind. It creates fear and resistance. Kindness, on the other hand, opens space for change. When you speak to yourself with patience, "I made a mistake, but I'm learning," you allow yourself to keep trying. And every time you keep trying, you build new habits and beliefs. Think of yourself as a young plant. It doesn't grow faster if you shout at it. It grows with water, sunlight, and care. Your mind is the same. Kindness isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the most powerful way to guide your thoughts in a better direction. How does a small change in thought lead to a big change in who you are? Because identity is built slowly, from the inside out. When you choose kinder, stronger thoughts, they shape new beliefs. Those beliefs guide new actions. And those actions, repeated over time, create a new version of you. This process is gentle and quiet. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's real. If you start telling yourself, "I'm a person who keeps going," and you repeat that idea, you'll begin to act like it. And with each small action, that identity becomes true. This is why change begins with something as small as a thought. Because thoughts are the roots. They reach deep, grow strong, and shape everything above the surface. You don't have to force a new identity. You grow into it, one thought, one belief, one action at a time. Is it really true that your inner world shapes your outer life? Yes. What you believe about yourself changes how you behave. How you behave changes the opportunities you see. And the opportunities you take shape the world around you. It all begins inside. Two people can face the same situation and react in completely different ways, not because the world is different, but because their inner world is. One sees a problem and thinks, "I can't." The other thinks, "I'll find a way." Their thoughts lead them down different paths. Over time, those paths lead to very different lives. This is why it's worth investing in your inner world, because it's not separate from reality. It creates reality. When you guide your thoughts, you guide your life. So, who do you want to become? That question is not answered by luck or by chance. It's answered by the thoughts you choose every day. Remember, you will become what you think about. Not immediately, not magically, but slowly and surely, through repetition, awareness, and gentle practice. Your thoughts become beliefs, your beliefs become habits, your habits become identity, and identity shapes everything. This means change is always possible, no matter where you start. You don't need to control every thought. You only need to choose which ones you feed, which ones you practice, which ones you let guide your steps. With time, those choices will create a new path. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the person you dreamed of becoming is now the person you are. It all began with a single thought and the decision to nurture it.